Alright, we are live tonight with some more Boros Burn on usual Sunday night stream. Running back list what we played last week, kind of getting a better feel for the Ragavan in the list, adding some more 1-drops to the list, just to give us a little bit more pressure in the early game. Obviously, there are some matchups where that's worse. We ran into that match number 1, which unfortunately didn't make it on the YouTube channel because I forgot to hit record, but Hammer Time with all of its various jump blockers and such. But, there are some matchups, decks like Amulet Titan, Tron, even things like Blue-White and stuff that you want as much early pressure as possible, and Ragavan certainly fits the bill as probably the best 1-drop that Burn isn't currently running in terms of just power, especially since we're not running things like Mishra's Bauble for allowing something like DRC to be good, and DRC cannot really have haste at any particular time, whereas Monkey, at least in the mid-game, can have something like Dash, especially if you have nothing better to do with your mana, so it isn't always a lost cause that it has haste in the mid-game. Beyond that, we're still running the 20 land list. We did flood out quite a bit last time, so that is something to keep an eye on. So often we have to mulligan because of 3 and 4 land hands. Beyond that, no skull cracks in the main deck, instead of running a couple copies of Lightning Helix. And most of the rest of the deck is 4 ofs, 4 Guide, 4 Swift Spear, 4 Eidolon, 4 Blaze, 4 Boros Charm, 4 Riftbolt, 4 Skewer. So nothing too fancy other than the copies of Ragavan in the main deck. Sideboard, we're still continuing to run the Containment Priests. I know a lot of people, especially in the comments of the YouTube channel, were commenting how I should be running Hallowed Moonlight. It is a cantrip. It does serve a lot of the same purpose, but Containment Priest pressures in addition to the disruption and instant speed. Smash, same story. Hammer Time, Urza Saga decks, Chalice of the Void, Roiling Vortex here, pretty much Cascade, anti-life gain stuff. Sanctifier, anti-scam, Murktide, anti-dredge, etc. So we have a lot of different things going on the sideboard, a little bit stuff going on in the main deck. Figured we'd run it back. As far as other people's comments that I need to try my own list, largely the 3 Eidolon main deck list was kind of where my own list ended up. The one things I was testing were whether Eidolon needed to be a 3 or 4 of, just from working on the deck. Whether we wanted to be running 19 or 20 lands, whether if you're running a 20th land, is Sekens in the land, is Fiery Islet the land, and then, the split of like Skullcrack, Lightning Helix, all that kind of stuff. Sideboard, I did like the Firecrafts, although, as we run into red decks, obviously, we kind of, continue working on that. Deflecting Palm was probably the card most likely on the chopping block, although I do like having some amount of anti-creature stuff, and I don't really like overloading on Path to Exile, so Deflecting Palm might stay in just because your other anti-creature cards would be something like Searing Blaze or another copy of Path to Exile, and I'm not really a huge, not Searing Blaze, Searing Blood, and that really doesn't answer a lot of the stuff that you have problems with in creature decks. So, we're going to try out, see what happens, but if people ask where my list would end up, this is probably pretty close to what we do, other than I might add the 4th Eidolon back in and cut a Lightning Helix, just to run the more standard burn. But the Karsten burn, I'm calling it mainly because of the additions of Ragavan. We're running that back tonight. Alright, we're back here for match number 1 this time. We're on the play, which is always nice, against Homeboy Maxwell. No lander. Okay, easy mulligan. I'm not in love with this hand, but I think we're going to keep it. Probably put back the Searing Blaze. I don't normally keep 1-landers on the play, but given the fact that we're already down a card, and Burn is very much a critical mass deck, and we can't cast every single card off of 1 land, and if Monkey happens to live, we're that much better off. Obviously, Blaze is a very high upside card, but in this situation, I just don't think we can afford to keep it. Alright, we're playing against Amulet, so speed is key. Alright, hopefully they don't have Dried on too. Looks like they don't. What did we exile? We've exiled Simic Growth Chamber and a... Might actually steal this game one, which would be kind of nice. I'm not likely going to cast a Dryad here, or a Zusa possibly. Turn what, the Sunhome to their hand. I think you return the Chamber to your hand. Cast Dryad, replace some Micro Chamber. Okay, that's just bizarre. Alright, well, could be interesting to see what they have going on with their deck. I'm just going to cast Boros Charm and end it. Nothing our opponent can have here that would prevent this, that I'm aware of. So, alright, Amulets, Deflecting Palms, okay-ish. Smash could be a consideration, both against Urza's Saga and Amulet. I don't like it in huge numbers. Searing Blaze is... it's not the best. It has more targets than it does against something like Tron, but it's still not like the best situation to be in. Eidolon, likewise, especially on the draw, can be pretty lackluster. And I suppose the next cut is Helix. Go like that. Obviously, I don't really like Path in the matchup, but it can clear a Dryad out and potentially clear the way for damage. So, see, like this hand is very situational and very temperamental. If our opponent has, you know, Amulet or whatever, but this hand could very easily be a dud. Hence, Fran talks about overboarding that Burn does sometimes in the matchup. Opponent's gonna turn one Dryad. Nope, EE on one. Okay, which is fine. I think we'll just pass. No reason to play into. We're just going to bolt. It's unfortunate that we're playing right into what they want to do, but if I get to smash this, they'll just crack it in response, not take any damage. So that was actually a poor play. I should have just played the Swift Spear and got in with the damage I could last turn. Oh well. Opponent will be getting an amulet in 2 turns anyway. Like I said, we just kept 2 reactionary in the hand, and we're probably going to get punished for it. One of the downsides against playing like something like Amulet is simply the fact that they just take no damage from their lands. Dryad. Yep. Interesting to see if they make a construct or if they just make a... One, two, three, four, five. This isn't going to really do us much good, but we'll slow them down potentially. Now they just kick in their secondary game plan of Radiant Fountain, if they have it. Now, obviously if they don't have Radiant Fountain for some reason, maybe we have a chance. I know some of the amulet lists have been cutting it. Okay, apparently they don't have it. Or they have it in hand, one or the other. Pass the turn. Turn the Earth is an interesting card. Presumably, do they just set up for Dryad here and kill us? We need to draw like Boros Charm plus, I don't even know. Could still, I guess, draw a Deflecting Palm. Now we're just dead. Okay. Okay. Not a huge fan of having that many reactive cards in our deck and drawing them. Eidolon back in, Deflecting Palm back out. first. 4-lander can't keep. This hand's not the most exciting, but it's fine, I guess. Turn 1 Arboreal Grazer, of course. No reason to attack. Another Explorer? No, just another Grazer, yay. Apparently the opponent is stuck on land. Again, no reason to attack. Ah, yes, the Christmas going off again. Apparently I didn't have another land. Interesting. Just another Arboreal Grazer, sure. Goes to 5 here. Let's play the other Swift Spear. Not that it particularly matters, but it might matter mana-wise. Sure. Another Explorer. So your opponent was chilling on a bunch of Explorer and still ain't hitting land drops. Interesting. So we get to get in 1 damage here. Opponent. Yep. Roll turf. Well, Boros Charm just to end this. Attack. Yeah, we're probably just going to get Titan this turn. And they get to get double Valakut and just Machine Gunner board. Or we're just dead because they have another land drop to make, don't they? This is why it's such a bad matchup for Burn. Name that's an homage to the Muppets. Statler and Waldorf. Ah, looks like they are possibly in a Burn, either Burn or they might be Creativity, I suppose. We'll find out in a minute. If they fetch a Tri-land, they're probably not Burn. If they fetch a Sacred Foundry and bolt this, then we know they're Burn. Nope, looks like they're Creativity. Or, obviously, could be something else. It could be like a... It does feel like they're chilling on a bolt, though. Feels like this Ragavan is just gonna die. Creativity is another matchup that's a little bit tricky for Burn, especially if they basically resolve any... They resolve anything remotely. They were pretty bad. It's probably a Fable. Okay. Apparently they're on the land destruction plan. Got it. So are they on boom bust nonsense? Seasoned Pyro. Okay. Surprised they didn't pitch a spell here, but I'm not going to complain. So we can put them to 1, and I still have no idea what they're playing. So we saw Seasoned Pyromancer, Pillage, a 4-color mana base. I have no idea what's going on. I would say Creativity, but those Sunbay Canyons make me say no. It could be Boom Bust, but I don't really know that the Boom Bust deck plays an off-color Tri-land for like Leyline Binding. So I am confused as to what's going on here. Just in case those Sunbay Canyons were a misdirection, I'm going to bring in the Containment Priests, presuming that they are some style of Creativity deck, even though we're pretty sure they're not. Go down... Let's bring in these and maybe go down, or maybe bring in a couple copies of Vortex and go down like an Eidolon, a Blaze, and a couple of Helixes, because our life total might be under a bit of, or our land base might be under a bit of a squeeze. So I don't want too many white spells in my deck. Alright, well, this Hand isn't ideal, but we do get to lead on a fetch land in case they are on boom bust. Okay, I have no idea what's going on here. Just gonna play this out, presuming we're bolting this in mid-combat, obviously. Because I don't want my opponent dashing. Dashing monkey, no, that's a bad play, opponent. Okay, so they are boom bust. Which I suspected they might be just based on the pillage. But I'm gonna actually no. I am going to move to combat. Guess we let that resolve. I could have protected it with Boros Charm, but and we could, obviously could have played Eidolon pre-combat. Wow, my opponent's playing all kinds of weird. Awkward. So part of me doesn't want to play out this here for triggering Searing Blaze, as we know they at least have Ragavan and Seasoned Pyro in their deck. But at the same time, we really want to play as many of our lands as possible because they're going to be blowing them up, obviously. And their mana might be a bit awkward. They might have like a Pyro on hand that they can't cast. S%, wow. Opponent is playing all kinds of weird stuff in there. Guess we could have waited till their turn to do it. It's not like they're playing Boros Charm, I doubt. Although, the rest of the weird stuff in their deck, who knows? Feels like this is just gonna die, but... We're drawing a snow-covered mountain. And of course they have a bolt. Try to bolt their face. You never know, a deck like this could be playing something like Blossoming Calm, hence why I was a little bit hesitant to fire off burn spells, but... Seems unlikely, but when you're playing against a deck like this, you're just kind of like, shrug. Okay, Showdown of the Scalds. Three lands and another Showdown. Okay. One. Oh, Scalds. When you cast a spell this turn till the end of your next turn, you may play those cards. Let's see, I didn't think it was like the green-red one that allows you to play additional lands, but I figured it'd be worth looking at, so. 4 mana, do nothing. I get to play what? A Ragavan this turn. Play the Snow-Covered Mountain, play Ragavan, go. Alright, that's game. We did a lot of damage to ourselves, but c'est la vie. Really hard to get a gauge on whether you should be keeping these. Or the 20 land thing when you keep getting a bunch of either 4 lands or no lands. It's like, welcoming to Mulligan to MTG. This hand's fine-ish. Question is, do we put back Canyon or Fetch Land? I'm actually leaning towards Canyon here, just because we might take a good bit of damage from our own Eidolon. Feels like we're up against Yogg, possibly. Which can be a tricky matchup depending on the build. It could do a lot of things this turn. No reason to even attack right now. Play Eidolon and go. We can kind of rule out our opponent having another Mana Dork or Young Wolf or whatchamacallit. Looks like we're just going to get Yogged this turn. So far, nobody's taken any damage from Eidolon. Good afternoon. How are you doing, Wardog? So far, it's been a quiet party. Okay, Eldritch Evolution for what? Blood Artist or... I guess they could get Messenger here? Opponent is sending me a message. Okay, they're looking for another... Could be dead here if they have another Undying creature. Yep, just dead. Cool, that was a fun game. Could bring in Sanctifier. Well, it stops the Messenger portion of the combo. It doesn't really... Containment Priest could be relevant in this matchup. Path could be relevant. Vortex, not so much. Deflecting Palm, not so much. Sanctifier's like middling against them because it doesn't exile their green creatures, which is their main way of looping things. We're definitely bringing in these 4. Might go down 4 copies of Boros Charm. Obviously, Containment Priest is very situational. Can't keep the 4-land hand. Alright, well, at least we get to try it out, I suppose. Turn 1 Swiftspear, turn 2 Blaze. This hand should be pretty reasonable in the matchup. Back Canyon. Even if they don't have a turn 1 Dork, we can just play potentially suspend Rift Bolt. See if they block. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the opponent just kind of gets a fruit block here. Opponent has a Grist. Presumably, they're going to kill. Suspend the Rift Bolt. I think we're spending too many resources on this Grist, unfortunately. Okay, opponent mills a Dryad Arbor. Gets a Strangle Root Geast. We're about to get yogged. Yep. Scavenging Ooze, sure. Unfortunately, the opponent's just going to be able to take down and deal with Containment Priest. Suspend that and pass. Obviously, the longer the game goes, the worse it gets for us, but c'est la vie. go face with this. And we still have no good attacks because of that wonderful scavenging is. I didn't bring in Path, right? It's like my only out in this situation now. Yeah, we're just dead at this point. Could play out Eidolon as a chump blocker. They still control Grist and can kill whatever they want. And they still have another 2 creatures to eat. So we're just not winning this game. So, c'est la vie. Okay, back for match number 4. Fairly prototypical burn hand. Goblin God into either Eidolon or Searing Blaze. Probably lead on Inspiring Vantage because it just fixes our mana the best. See what we're up against. Thoughtseize. Okay. So, no idea. Possibly Scam or Death Shadow. Yeah, we're getting scammed. Wonderful. Okay. They have yet another. The way they're stacking it, they could very easily have another Undying effect. Nope. Just relying on this nonsense to get there. Drawing and then Malika Rebirth. Okay. Season Pyro, of course. Left this hand in our hand simply because of Searing Blaze. Voidwalker. Just take the 2 and link it here. Rewarded. Oh, fantastic. Opponent gets to monkey us. They're choosing not to keep monkey on top. That is questionable. Oh, apparently they had a monkey in hand. Never mind. They hit a Scolding Tarn off of our deck, which we really didn't want to draw anyway. No attacks. No reason to give them another monkey hit. Boros Charm in response. You get nothing. Really would have cast Ragavan and then attack with Pyro, but that's just me. I understand wanting to play around sorcery speed removal, but it just seems very suspect. They attack with everything. Do I block the Ragavan? They attack like this. I'm definitely blocking the Ragavan. Dash True on the stack. Go ahead and Boros Charm you. That is far from ideal. Opponent with 5 damage in play. If they have a bolt, we're dead. Looks like they don't. Looks like we're just going to get griefed and setting up for lethal next turn. Alrighty then. Sometimes you just draw like this and nothing you can really do about it. Tainment Priest is reasonable. Sanctifier and Vex reasonable. Path Exile is okay. Eidolon is debatable how strong it is. Especially against like Fury and stuff. Go like this. Guess we'll try this. Obviously it's dangerous, but we'll potentially go Ragavan and Sanctifier if we don't get scammed, thought seized, any of that nonsense. really get so tired of this bullshit opening that they have. We're gonna have to take Bolt here. Play out Swift Spear. If they have Fury, they have Fury again. It's kind of whatever. So they pitched Voidwalker and Undying Malice. So you may as well attack with it because I'm killing it anyway. I'd love to draw like a Sanctifier or something here. We had the Blackleaf Cliffs. Okay, draw another land. Okay, opponent's going to have a Seasoned Pyro here. No, Hatsugo claims all. Spyro probably would have effectively done the same thing, though. Next to all graveyards, yeah, not really relevant for either of us. And, of course, they have a Dash Monkey for a follow-up. They hit cast a Bolt, which would have been lethal. And good thing we drew the lethal spell because between... I guess this doesn't get haste, so... Still don't like it along the matchup, so we'll go with what we got. Containment Priest, obviously not ideal. It's only good if like we catch them off of a... We'll keep this, presuming we're going to get scammed. So, better to keep the handful of spells and draw into lands, especially since we have several hands that can... Feels like our opponent kept more of like a Fury-based hand than a whatchamacallit-based hand. Voidwalkers, whatever. We'll wait and see if we draw a land. Obviously, that'd be ideal to kill Voidwalker. So we can just go Searing Blaze, kill your dude. Obviously, if they have a monkey after all this, it's mildly annoying, but, you know, they're using 2 mana to make 1 mana. Presume they have an Undying effect here. Okay, I take Helix. Pass turn. I'm not going after that Grief in case they have yet another rebirth effect. At this point, I'm just kind of priced into trying to burning them out before they can race us. Outside of a card like Cling to Dust, there's not too much I'm worried about at instant speed from a deck like theirs. Do I play this out even? It feels like I'm just supposed to go Burn Spell, Burn Spell. Because it feels like they're sitting on like bolts or pushes or terminate or whatever. Yeah, Voidwalker does nothing. And you're dead. Alright, 2 and 2, nice start. Alright, we're back for match number 5. So I'd love to be on the play. This hand is fine. We don't have a 1-drop creature, but we just have Riftbolt and the Eidolon, which is fine. Relatively painless mana. So Small getting to 6. Eidolon of the Great Revel. Currently on Darkslick Shores. Okay. Ah. It's milling time. We just want to kill this crab out of spite. Because I was going to say, not too many decks play Darkslick Shores anymore. It's basically mill and the 1 or 2 people out there still trying to make it nauseum works. Every once in a while you'll see like Darkslick Shores. Alright, so clearly they don't have another crab. Feeling a little crabbiness myself tonight. Sorry for the terrible pun. You're supposed to laugh. Not talking to you guys. My wife's sitting there going. Alright, Let's see what they play here. Like tank, 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 tank. Mesmeric Orb. Tank, 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 tank. Can't play Drown in the Lock yet. At least not to kill Eidolon. So, what do you do, friend? Okay. I'm about to get hit with a Glimpse. Glimpse the Unthinkable. Or are we cycling a Furring Sanity? Tank, tank, tank. Tank, tank, tank. Tank for turn. Pass and cast nothing. This is about right. We do not want to crack this fetch land if we can all manage it. I wonder if we're going to get Drown in the Lock into attempt to Drown in the Lock the Eidolon. No. Okay. So we're just going to hold a Boros Charm here. No reason to do anything else. We give them Visions of Beyond. Come on. I appreciate thoughtful opponents, but when you spend 3 minutes doing nothing, it's just kind of like, okay. And it's not like the mill deck has a ton of plays available to them. I feel like we're going to get Cycle Fracturing Sanity at the end of turn. Just seems to be the most likely play. Nope. Do nothing. Okay. Vision. Opponent's got crabs. Good to know. I'm feeling crabby. Alright. So our opponent has no lands. No spells they apparently want to play. I clearly don't want to play this Scalding Tarn because there's a very good chance they have whatchamacallit, trap in hand. Archive Trap. And I'm just holding up Boros Charm to keep them from killing my creatures. Opponent shocking in here. I guess Crypt Incursion's a fine card here. Clearly they have to do something here or they're just dead. Okay, opponent will get another Visions of Beyond. It's fine. I'll start with a Spectacle card. Even if you have, I'm gonna say, even if you have like a Spell Pierce or anything like that, I can just go over the top with whatchamacallit. See if there's been any changes to Mill the last couple weeks since we covered it over on the main channel. I don't think so. So there is a Grixis version running around that was playing like some random stuff and has Mana Cap Experiment in the sideboard, but we didn't see any red mana out of them, so I don't think I'm going to try that. I think we just try for Sanctifier even matter? Not really. I guess Sanctifier helps like get rid of creatures in our own graveyard, which can be relevant. Is there anything else in our deck that we really would want? Path, no. Containment Priest, no. Vortex, we could want some number of copies because it punishes Archive Trap. It punishes any type of life gain they might have. This might really be like these out. Searing Blaze is like good against Crab only, so I don't want to draw multiples of them most likely. And then obviously Boros Charm is like really good against them potentially, but Sanctifier keeps us from having creatures in graveyards, which makes Crypt Incursion that much worse. And then Roiling Vortex puts them on a clock, makes Archive Trap bad. It's not great in the matchup, but it is serviceable. I think we keep this hand. Number one, it doesn't have a fetch land, which is generally where you don't want to be against this deck anyway with Archive Trap. And we have several plays we can make with just 1 mana. So, feels like we're going to get crabbed. Yeah, feels like we're getting crabbed. Oh, we're getting Thoughtseize, or Inquisitioned. Interesting. Don't know what to take here. They took Sanctifier Snap. They must have Crypt Incursion in hand. Yep, opponent's got crabs. Illness for 3. Hits all lands, which we kind of wanted to draw actually. Going to attack, see if they block. If they do, good on them. They know most of our hands, they know. Good on them. Obviously, it would have been nice to get rid of that there, but... Opponent has to get another crab. Opponent has all the crabs. Alrighty then. Go face, because that's the helpful hardware place. Oh, give me a land. Thank you. I'm going to play this out because, like I said again, Crypt Incursion is the card that we really lose in this situation, or to lose to in this situation. Obviously, all these crabs being in play is somewhat terrifying, but kind of have to play as if they don't have lands right now. And we're going to get Crypt Incursion, most likely. We hit 1, 2, 3 creatures. We have Ragavan, Eidolon, what do you want to call it? Puts them back to... Okay. Obviously, there are a number of cards that are kind of terrifying here. Forgot to take the clock away. Looks like our opponent's last card is Surgical. So the reason I'm doing this is if they go to mill us and we were to die during our upkeep, we could cast Boros Charm. And hi, wife.
Hi.
So this would allow us to win during our upkeep if they go to just mill us out for some way somehow that doesn't involve Crypt Incursion plus like some nonsense. I don't even know what it would be. Obviously, if we get hit with Crypt Incursion. I don't think they have it because I think they would have done it to us last turn. But if they slow rolled a Crypt Incursion, good on them. Nope. Okay. They're playing Glimpse and Mind Funeral in their deck, which is interesting. Alright, do you have like a... Alright. Very unimpressive 3-2, but 3-2 nonetheless. Alright, so short wrap up for the deck. Keeping track of Ragavan and the 20 land situation. Obviously we had a couple situations where we mulliganed because of 0 landers. We had some situations where we had some 1 landers. We only had 1 or 2 situations where we had 4 lands, so maybe 20 is correct for now. Ragavan was... It was good against Amulet Game 1. It's obviously kind of middling against something like Yawg. But most creatures are kind of middling against Yawg just because of the way their blockers are. But a 2-1 especially is a little bit middling against them. Against Mill, it's fine. We never really saw it in that matchup to really get a good judge. You know, they have some blockers, some removal spells. The other matchups against Scam, it's fine. Like Scam has some removal spells like Fury and such, and like Fatal Push and Terminate and Bolt. But we already have plenty of other creatures that they have to answer, like Eidolon and such. I really don't know. Really don't know Burn's position in the meta right now. You know, a lot of the top decks, it's a rough or close matchup. You know, used to think Yawg was a good matchup, but now I'm not sure against. The thought process with Monkey isn't the fact that we want Ragavan in the deck, because we don't. Obviously, Burn is not the best at leveraging what Monkey does. It does a decent job of clearing small creatures out of the way, which makes Ragavan a little bit more palatable. The issue with Burn in general is the deck has not evolved. If you look at the traditional Burn, what's considered the stock Burn list, there is not a single new card from before, I think outside of Sanctifier, there is not a single new card from Modern Horizons 2 on. And, you look at a lot of the other modern decks, Leyline and Binding seeing play. A bunch of Modern Horizons 2 cards are seeing play. So the power level of Burn is not what it once was. The thought process with Monkey, and I kind of actually agree with Frank on it, is Burn desperately wants a third 1-drop. Whatever Ronin, Goblin War, whatever. I can't remember the name of the 2 cards, but basically, the one is pay 1 mana, put a 2/2 into play, it returns to your hand at the end of turn. And the other one is a 2/2 Trampler for 1, that when it deals damage, you have to return a land to your hand. Both of those are hasty, but their drawbacks are trash. We've tried them both. They're complete, total, unplayable garbage. Alternatively, the deck used to play Nacatl. And obviously, Nacatl made somewhat of a resurgence in some of the variants of the Zoo decks, simply because it plays nicely into their strategy, and they have a lot of must-kill threats, and they don't rely on hasty creatures. Dragon Rage's Channeler really only works with Mishra's Bauble in a deck like this, or a deck like Prowess, where you're chaining a bunch of spells and you're getting some advantage off of it. So, if you look at the available 1-drops in the red and white colors, the only other option is Clever Lumimancer, and Lumimancer doesn't really fit the bill, once again, what Burn's trying to do. It's more of a prowess creature. You have Soulscar Mage, which once again lacks haste. The main draw to Ragavan wanting to play another 1-drop is the fact that, sure, on turn 1 it doesn't have haste. But in the mid-game, when sometimes you need opponents tapped out and, you need to, things that go, for lack of a better term, something that can go pop goes the weasel, it has haste. Is the main reason you play Ragavan. And it does increase the number of not draw hands that you have, which Burn needs, because Burn can no longer play a long game. Against many of these decks, Burn can no longer play a long game. Against all the blue decks that you used to want to go along with, the only one you can legitimately play a long game against is Blue-White Control. And Blue-White Control obviously is severely diminished in its presence in the metagame. You see more 4-color Omnath piles, you see Indomitable Creativity decks, you see Rhinos, you see just all these different decks that have some way of closing the game out. You're not playing this like long, drawn-out game. So Burn needs a way to get faster. And Ragavan is probably the best option for number 3 spot that Burn has access to. Do I think it's ideal? Not at all. Do I understand the theory crafting of why he put it in the deck? Absolutely. Do I kind of lean towards it so far? Yes. There are some matchups like Yogg, Hammer Time, matchups where they have like some removal spells, a bunch of like cheap blockers that a 2/1 doesn't get through, that somehow a 1/2 and a 2/2 are good against. Ragavan's not ideal, but it's a card worth testing simply because Burn has to evolve. And we haven't gotten any other tools recently. They gave us Flame Rift. I'm sorry, Flame Rift is trash. It's good specifically in Mono Red Burn and Legacy because, well, Legacy's a different format. Price of Progress, they're not handing us that. Another card we would want access to would be Chain Lightning. They haven't handed us that. So if you look at Burn, Burn is an aging archetype in terms of it's not getting any new tools. And, you know, people have to try things. You know, the person that tried the bump in the night, no Eidolon version that did well last weekend at whatever event it was. I think it was like an SCG event or something. You know, M. Hayashi trying the mono red variants that evolved into mono red mid range that he was playing. You know, Burn needs something. You know, we've tried, in my time as a Burn player, I've tried billions of different things. You know, we've tried Seal of Fire back when Lurrus was a thing. We tried, you know, we've tried Ronin, we've tried the Goblin, we've tried Nakadal. You know, they're all just bad. And Ragavan is at least, I guess the word I'd be looking for is decent. So, it's definitely worth testing some more. But I agree overall, it's not ideally what Burn wants. But it might be the creature we need. So, anywho, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight and listening to my rant there at the end. If you're checking this out on YouTube later, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Give us a follow over here on Twitch. We go live every Sunday evening if possible. And Christmas might be a questionable one, but every other week from now and then should be alright as far as streams. But
New Year's.
Until Christmas, dear.
Okay. Well, you won't be there New Year's.
I know, but other arrangements can be made. My wife lovingly reminding me that we'll be on for New Year's weekend too. So, anywho, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hope to see you for the next stream.